one.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Addressing the Elephant in the Room. My name is Coach April. I'm the founder of One Light Ahead and get to be the coach for many individuals along the way with another amazing coach, Jason Safford, of winning with exceptionalism and all the other wonderful things that he's involved in. And he's going to pipe in here in a few minutes, but we want to introduce our special guest, Mr. Tony Cordileone, and he is the broker and operating principal of Keller Williams in Florida. And I am excited to have you with us today, and you get to choose the elephant today.
Cool. It's nice to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So, Tony, what is the elephant in the room for you?
I think it's what we won't do that holds us back. We were talking a little while ago about everybody says, I'll do whatever it takes, except, and that exception can really undermine your success. So I think it's understanding what we won't do.
So, Jason, you had a coach that gave you that concept. I wanted you to share a little bit about that real quick.
Yeah, Maureen Minato is a dear friend of mine. Her husband is kind of my mentor and coach, John. And she shared me a long time ago, we were talking about success. And I must have shared with her about, I'm a very strong-willed person. And Maureen is a very open and honest and very in-your-face person. She says, it's not a strong will that alone that will make you successful. It's a strong won't that will hold you back. And so I realized that, you know, I do a lot of recruiting and a lot of training, and, you know, I talk to people, and I look in the mirror and I look at myself and I say, I'll do this, but I won't do that. And it's that won't that really can kill you.
So, Tony, in terms of, you know, being an entrepreneur full time, where your goal is obviously to, you know, find as many clients and make as much money as possible, what are some of the things that, you know, you may not have been willing to do when you were younger, that as you become more successful, you realized that you have to let go of those won'ts? And
yeah, they're still there, Jason.
Okay.
They creep up on you all the time, you know. But I think the biggest lesson for me, and I got to go back for a second, and I got to warn you, I got to apologize to you, because I've been known as an equal opportunity offender. And so somewhere along the line, I'm going to offend somebody. So I want to apologize in advance for that. But years ago, I've had a coach for a long time, and lead generation has always been my obstacle. I know a lot of people. I come from a ministry background where I've worked in churches, so I know thousands and thousands of people, but didn't want to infringe on them, thinking I was going to take advantage of them. So lead generation has always been a challenge. And so I'd be willing to do everything, but I always hesitated on that, picking up the phone. So I made a promise to my coach that I would make 10 contacts a day. So the first day I walk in the office, I'm sitting there and I'm checking emails. I'm doing everything to avoid picking up the phone. And that phone is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You all heard this before, right? So I figured, okay, I made a promise. I got to get it out of the way, because if I don't make the calls now, it's going to follow me all day. So I said, well, let me make a friendly call. Let me call my buddy Antonio Guzman up. He's a guy I've known for a long time. Let me at least say hello to him, and I'll break the ice. So I called Antonio up, and I hear, hello. And I said, Antonio, Tony Cordileone, how you doing? And all I hear is heavy breathing and sniffling. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I made a call. There's probably a death in the family or something's going on. And I said, are you okay? He said, you're not going to believe this. He said, I'm sitting in my living room in the dark praying. I said, what's going on? He said, my family is in Puerto Rico. I have a job in Puerto Rico. I am stuck here trying to sell my house. And I realized that my house is worth less than what my mortgage is. And he said, I just don't know what to do. So I'm sitting here praying for God to help me. And you called. I said, you want to grab a cup of coffee? And he said, yeah. We went out, got a cup of coffee, went over the short sale plan, got his house listed the next day. And miraculously, we got an offer within the first week and we closed that thing. Now, this is in probably the early 2000s, 06, 07, somewhere on that. And we sold the house. We closed on his house in 2 months. So that experience, I call it the Antonio experience, made me really change my attitude, because you never know when you pick up that phone, who's praying, who's asking for help. So when I sit in front of the phone now, I think there may be an Antonio on the other end. So.
And Tony, you recruit and coach multitude of leaders that need that reminder of that experience.
Man, all the time. We all do. I mean, I do. You know, I have a thing in my office that says the Antonio experience, and you never know who's on the other end of that phone. And I think that's the biggest obstacle to realtors, whether you're new or experienced. It's just picking up the phone on a regular basis.
Well, and Jason, I know you're going to have much more deeper impactful addressing of the elephant. Yet I want to add one more layer to what I'm hearing you say is what you started off with is what the won't and what's attached to the won't. And your Antonio experience is that awareness of how you overcame the won't. In that particular incident, I'm curious, in all of the people that you get to serve and the people that you run through, how have you helped others overcome the won't when they didn't have that experience?
Well, I think the greatest thing that we have is to share our experience. I mean, training and coaching really comes from our heart to somebody else. And I've learned to use that feel, felt, and found thing that we all, I know how you feel. I felt the same way. Here's what I did to overcome it. And, but at the end of the day, they have to address it. We can talk, we can share, we can encourage, but at the end of the day, we can't motivate somebody enough that they do that. They have to want that. They have to understand that may stand in their way of achieving their goals.
Tony, if I can jump in on that, and April sort of set you up for this, but in terms of the fact that what you're saying is that you took action, that's the Antonio experience. And that's something that you've now realized that, taking that simple action of picking up the phone and calling somebody, makes a difference. What else are some of the things that people won't do that they need to, just take action on, that can, be the difference in terms of their success?
Well, at least in my world, I believe most agents don't treat it like a business. I sat across a guy not too long ago who, a sharp guy, came in, white shirt, tie, all dressed up, really good looking guy. And he was working for Verizon. He was making about $45,000 a year, working about 50 hours a week. And he got his real estate license. And I asked him why. He said, because I want to make more money. I said, okay, what are you willing to do to make more money? And he went on to say, well, he got his real estate license because he likes the flexibility of the schedule. He likes to play golf. He likes to spend more time with his family and going fishing and all this other stuff. And it was all the peripheral stuff that he wanted. And so he wanted to work less hours, make more money. And, so I think I think the thing is that people look at this as a very easy business and they don't take it serious. So they don't have office hours. They don't do regular stuff on a regular basis. The little bit of the discipline. And listen, I'm a classic. I fight the discipline issue all the time. I mean, if I don't have a schedule, I'm screwed. I mean, I'm toast. I'm doing gardening or washing the car or doing something. So I think that big elephant on the other aspect is just not being disciplined enough to build a successful business.
So is it something where the cautionary tale is distractions that when we say what people won't do that can really hold you back is being able to fight the distractions that you really sort of like, all the things that are attractive to you, that entertain you, when you won't put those aside and really focus on the business. Is that what really holds you back?
Yeah, and I think there's a thing called the hesitation factor. All right, you know you got to make the call, and you hesitate. See, once you hesitate, and again, I'm talking from experience. If I hesitate, I fall back. So the thing that I had to learn, and it's really difficult, it's not an easy thing, is not to overthink things. Pick up the phone, make the call, do what has to be done without saying, well, should I do it now or should I wait later? Let me think about this, which gets me in trouble because so often I pick up the phone, I don't think about what I'm going to do, but I'd rather be in the game and then, that hesitation part of it. So does that answer your question? I'm not sure.
No, it doesn't. In fact, I'm going to feed off of that, Tony. In April, I'm going to let you chime in as well. But it sounds like a big part of how you overcome overthinking is really having a plan and preparing so that you just take action without hesitation. So if you have a plan in advance of what you're going to do, how do you approach putting together that plan in preparation?
I got to tell you what, we call my father Plunge, because he would just plunge into things and then just call up and say, hey, help me out here, so and I'm his son. So I tend to plunge into things and then realize I may not be where I should be. And so I think the coaching for me has been such a valuable asset because they hold me accountable. I'm a slough off. I can be a real slacker. And so my coach really holds me to the fire and really helps me plan because I'm not innately, I'm not a planner. Let's see what happens now type of person. And so I struggle with that. But the plan has been, and thank God for Gary Keller and the people I hang around with. They really help me set out a plan, what I want to do. And I fight it innately. I mean, I struggle with that. If there was ever an elephant for me, it's the plan. So
Tony, Gary Keller, Jay Papasan, amazing authors and leaders in the Keller Williams organization, and have written many of books, including The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, The One Thing, Shift, and many others. And all of those books have a onslaught of experience and wisdom in them. And ironically, I remember my first radio show when I was coaching right on the radio show, and she grabbed a hold of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book and said, "Oh, what a concept. There's a system to this." And I'm hearing that perspective from you because, as you said, you surround yourself with Gary Keller, and he is quite the impressive individual. that has been purposeful about being focused and narrowed in, as well as Jay and many others. And I'm curious, in your journey through being a leader in this organization, being a leader with these individuals that you get the gift to infuse
Big
uh,
time.
the opportunity, because as you said, everyone is dealing with something, right? Everyone has the opportunity to be distracted. Everyone has the opportunity. Yet one of the things I love to say is, what are you compelled to? Because that won't really does sometimes drive that compelled. And I'm curious what you've seen and what you experience. What is that for you through all those lessons and journeys you've been on that you've seen that really makes the impact in the conversations, in your actions? What's that compelling factor?
I'm going to share something where I have it on the wall here.
Mhm.
I don't know if can you see that?
Yes. Mhm.
All right. That's what drives me today. All right. When
And Tony, I'm going to read that for everybody that's going to listen in on the podcast.
yeah,
And it says, champions find a way to win, is what I read, correct?
yeah. And um, we all have an opportunity to lose and to fail. I'm, as part of being a leader, I don't think people understand that the more you fail, the more successful you have the opportunity to become. And so maybe that other elephant is failure. I don't want to fail. But I've gotten pretty good at failure, understanding it. And but I also understand, and this came from a tennis match where I was playing with a partner, and it should have been an easy game, and we were getting killed. And I sat down with him at the break time, and I said, "God, we're playing like losers. We're champions. We should be the champions. So we need to find a way to win." And so I think that's the thing for me, is when I'm facing a difficult situation, what do I have to do to win? Because if I believe I'm a champion, champions get up and they fight. Champions get up and they figure out a way to get over that wall, under it, around it, break it down, whatever it is. So, but Jason, that's part of you, who you are. And April, that's part of you, who you are. And not everybody has that. And so if you don't believe you're a champion, this is a bunch of farce. This is a bunch of words on a piece of paper.
Tony, I'm going to follow up on that, because obviously I wrote a book called Winning with Exceptionalism.
Right.
And it's really going back to what you won't do that holds us back. That standpoint, that quote, in terms of finding the drive. And for you, it started with that call to Antonio. What was it about Antonio that you were able to find the drive and start with him?
Well, the thing that drove me for years was fear of failure.
Mm-hmm.
When I got my real estate license, people innately think, oh, you're one of 800,000, and you're doing that, and let's see if you make it. And so fear of failure was actually the motivating thing, and maybe still is to a certain extent today. But that call to Antonio just lit my fire to the fact that I can actually help somebody. My profession, my experience can really help someone who wants help. So all I have to do is find the people that want help. And I'm there for them. And I feel that I can be the best person they can call on to get help. So that drive was in there to help people,
Mm-hmm.
just to help people achieve their goal. What was it? I can't think of it. Zig Ziglar used to say, I think it was, right? If you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. So that became the driving thing, Jason, just to go out there and find the people that needed help and avail them of my experience, my services.
And comparing that with the young man that you said was well dressed, working for Verizon, again, the transition from wanting to just be successful, which a lot of people look at as money and lifestyle, to really understanding that being able to help people is what makes you successful. Where did that transition really happen for you?
I got to tell you something
Yeah.
on that. Go back to that guy. I can't remember his name right now, but he sat there and I said, "What would make you feel that you're successful?" And he said to me, "Sitting in your chair." I said, "Okay, what would that do for you?" He said, "It would make me happy." I said, "So sitting in my chair would make you happy?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "You know what got me sitting in this chair?" He said, "What?" I said, "Being happy along the way. Wasn't to get here and then I was happy." I said, "It was being happy along the way." So I forgot your question. Sorry.
Was the question was really about for you, yeah, and you just, sort of answered it in terms of being happy along the way. When did you find that happiness in helping other people versus looking at it from the standpoint of success?
Gotcha. Um, I'm fortunate because money was never a motivator for me.
Okay.
Never. And so, do I like to have money? Definitely. Was it my main motivator? No. So I think my first closing, when I sat at that table at the closing table, back then, remember everybody sat around at the table. Back then, to see my buyer, I represented a buyer, so happy that they got the house and that I was part of that 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 memory for them. So we could be a memory for somebody or we could be a nightmare. And so my goal was to be a memory, a positive memory for people and to be able to do it. So that was the thing, that the smile on their face, the satisfaction, the helping them achieve a goal of home ownership, that really drove me. I mean, I love that part of it, to see a family, buy a house and move in and go visit them. And I, that was the main motivating factor. Money came later.
Awesome.
Well, to start to the wrap up process, because we attempt to be concise, and yet Tony, as a leader in a very influential organization and leading other individuals down the journey that you've been on, and you had said, the biggest elephant concept was that what we won't do, or as you moved into, you want to be the champion of. And the opportunity, what I'm hearing it, and I'd love for you to clarify anything you want to add to that, is choosing to be a champion, choosing to believe that champion, and choosing to let that champion override the won'ts, because you have a compelled vision, because you have a compelled decision to be a memory, as you said. I love the gift of that. I'm curious, and for the leaders that are listening, for the individuals that are contemplating their won'ts, what would you remind them that creates that commitment to overcome?
Well, I don't have all the answers. So you probably figured that out now. But I think when you sit down with somebody and you talk with them, you got to get into their heart. It's not just a mind issue anymore; it's a heart issue, and just build them up. You see, we were created with a design and a purpose, and that design and the purpose wasn't to be mediocre. Mediocre is the kiss of death. It's probably the greatest sin we have, is to be mediocre, to settle for being average. And so, so you try to convey that to people in a way that is sincere. And I find that relatively easy because that's where I come from and that's what I fight all the time. But it's never easy. It's never easy because you're dealing with somebody's personality, you're dealing with somebody's heart issues, you're dealing with their fears. And how do you maybe you have the answer to it, but How do you get some people to get over their fears?
And Jason will wrap us up with that concept in one of the ways that he does it. And I would tell you that
Yes.
I guide light bulb moments. And I say that in that concept because it is one light bulb moment, one conversation at a time of discovering, as you did, you had an opportunity to change your perception, because your perception, and you started even the conversation today with, I don't want to bug somebody, of that mindset that all salespeople go through, or 80% of the population that have that personality style. I don't want to bug them.
Yeah.
And you discovered that you were a gift to them. And if you would have chose not to pick up the phone, you wouldn't have been able to be that gift.
Bingo.
And that was a light bulb moment. And that is a moment you share over and over and over again. What an awesome gift. Jason, wrap us up.
Yeah, Tony, and I would go on to say that I think that this has been a fantastic episode, and really thank you so much for your wisdom and guidance for our listeners. And going back to your elephant, which is what you won't do is what holds you back. I think and you even said it, that for a lot of people it's a fear of failure. I think that for a lot of young people and a lot of people who are just starting out in terms of becoming entrepreneurs and becoming business people, what they don't understand, and you can speak to this, is that you don't start off as a champion. And most champions have losing records until they start winning. And winning isn't something that you just do. You have to be willing to lose, willing to fail. It doesn't make you a loser. But as you said in that tennis match, you were playing like a loser. And you came out of that break and you just did something different, which has probably changed your approach to that game, that match. And you changed your focus, the level of your focus. And somehow those two things, changing your approach and changing your focus, that's the key that I think that, in terms of other people understanding, what has made you become focused on being a champion, is really a matter of, understanding that if you're willing to take the chance, and you will go out there without a fear of losing, you become much more powerful in terms of how you help people, because you don't have that fear that you're not getting anything back for giving that help to them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Well, we thank everyone for joining us again for another episode of Addressing the Elephant in the Room. We're always thankful to Tony for joining us today. And Mr. Jason, always a wonderful pleasure to be running this wonderful opportunity for opening the conversations. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Likewise, April. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys.